Hello everyone, a very good morning to all of you, and I welcome you all to the Hindu newspaper analysis discussion for today. Today's 22nd of December. Now guys, let's start with the analysis for today's newspaper. Guys, I would like to tell you that you can download the notes of this session. You can download the notes of this particular session from our Telegram channel, and in these particular notes we have presented the entire explanation in a very crisp way. These notes are available on Telegram channel, and link for Telegram channel is given in the description box in YouTube. Now, first of all, before starting, let's take the overview of entire newspaper so that we can understand that actually which articles are important in the today's newspaper. Okay, so here we have Delhi edition, and the first article that we have is turbulent winter session ends a day before schedule. So this particular winter session, we have seen that a lot of controversies happened. First, there were opposition MPs that were suspended. Post that, many crucial bills were passed in their absence. Okay, so this is something that has happened. And guys, on this capacity, we have seen this particular view also, that it is being called as the democratic backsliding. 2-3 days back, one article also we have taken up. Now, moving on in this particular direction further, Lok Sabha passes bill on CEC appointment. Now guys, already we have covered this particular article, that basically new appointment process of chief election commissioner has been brought because Supreme Court has given judgment in this particular regard. Okay, and as per now there will be a selection committee which will comprise one cabinet minister, prime minister and leader of opposition. They will choose the election commissioner. Okay, so earlier already we have discussed this particular bill 2 times. Now Lok Sabha also has passed the bill. Now moving on, after that we don't have much relevant articles here. Okay, and in city section again, COVID-19 positivity that is increasing, political articles etc. that have been given. Okay, so much relevant things are not there. So guys, we'll skip this particular section and we'll reach to editorial only, because all these tenders advertisements have been there. Okay, moving on in this particular uh, direction. Now in editorial section, guys, understand this particular thing, that let's see what type of editorials are there in the today's newspaper. Now first article that we have is the questionable searches under the Money Laundering Act. Now guys, I have read this entire article and understand this particular thing, that this particular article is specifically discussing doing the analysis of section 2 subclause U of PMLA Act. Okay, article does not contains the academic substance which is relevant for your UPSC CSE examination. Okay, so guys, I will not advise you to go too much in the detail of this particular article. Revision sans vision. This particular article talks about the 3 criminal law bills that have been passed, okay, which were proposed earlier to replace IPC, CRPC and Indian Evidence Act. Now guys, one thing I would like to tell you, that rather than going in this article, yesterday I have taken a detailed discussion on these criminal law bills that are being passed, and also notes I have shared. So if you have seen that, no need to go here, and if you have not seen that, then I will advise you to please kindly watch that. Done. Now moving on in this particular direction, subaltern Hindutva and crucial social justice test. So Hindutva politics, BJP's involvement and all such things are being discussed. Such things are not asked in our examination. No need to go in this particular dimension. Then should all India Judicial Service be created? Now recently president has suggested the creation of AIJS. So we'll analyze it. However, in this particular article, though points that have been given, I'll cover all those, but we need to have some additional content also. So we are going to discuss this topic in much more detail. Then further moving on, text and context section, analyzing the post office bill 2023. We'll take this particular article. Then moving on to the next page, how Manmuti rewrote the rules of stardom yet again in 2023. Fine, no need to go in the article for exam. Then guys, after that, moving on, Rajya Sabha passes a telecom bill amid empty opposition benches, as the members were already suspended. So telecom bill have been passed. Okay, guys, 2 days back already we have discussed the telecom bill 2023. What are the provisions of telecom bill 2023? 2-3 days back we have discussed all those particular provisions also. Then moving on in this particular capacity, guys, okay, there is one particular thing here you see. Under the new law, doctors face a 2 year of imprisonment for death due to negligence. Now, one particular thing I would like to clarify. If you remember, yesterday we have discussed article where we discussed 3 criminal law bills that have been brought to replace the Indian Evidence Act, IPC and CRPC. And there we have seen that it was provided that now for the death caused by doctor's negligence, punishment will not be there. So this article, now see, now listen very carefully. Actually what happened, Union Home Minister Mr. Amit Shah has himself told the Lok Sabha that amended Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita bill does not provide a basically what happened, it was earlier provided that there will be a kind of an exemption, but it is not there. Fine, 2 years death punishment can still be there. So this clarification has been given in this particular article. Okay, so what actually happened? Fine, Union Home Minister said that such punishment will not be there, but actually punishment is there. So I don't know how this particular kind of a thing happened in the parliament. Okay, but anyhow, moving on. Okay, then guys, further political statements, etc. No need to go here. Here we have one article, this one. Don't use derogatory terms for person with disabilities, Election Commission. We'll take this particular article. Then next we have missing for 42 years Namdafa flying squirrel resurfaces in Arunachal Pradesh. We'll take this particular article also for examination. Then here we have an article, rating firm biases raise developing nations funding cost. We'll take this particular article. Okay. Then after that, guys, these corporate trends, etc., tenders, etc., not important for exam. And then on world page, let's see if we have some important development. Israel bombs more Gaza targets. So every day, one article is fixed on this particular line. At least 15 dead, dozens injured in mass shooting at Prague University. No need to go too much in that detail. Then we have sports page, and in science page, let's see the article that we have today. As JN1 emerges as variant of interest, time to evaluate preparedness. So JN1 is a new variant of COVID which has emerged, and it is increasing the anxieties in the world countries. So basically J1, fine, it has emerged as a separate variant, so its lineage and all such things are being discussed. Guys, strictly I will not advise you to go and read these particular articles, because these new emerging COVID variants, all such kind of things are not important for examination. Moreover, guys, a lot of things are still not clear in this particular dimension. So over a period of time, as things will evolve, we will get actually more clarity. But as of now, it is too soon in this particular direction. So tracing these variants and all such kind of a thing is not very much needed for your examination. Fine. So I'll not advise you to go too much in the details. So that is about this particular article. Now, guys, moving and let's discuss all these particular articles one by one in the detail. Let's discuss all these articles one by one in the detail. So as I told you, as you already know, that every class we start with a GS quotation. Okay. In today's class, we are going to start with the quotation from Dalai Lama. Now, Dalai Lama says, we can never obtain peace in outer world until we make peace with ourselves. Until we make peace with ourselves. So understand this particular thing, guys, that until and unless internal peace, internal solace, internal contentment is not there, you have not tamed your inner temptations, inner urges, inner desires, you cannot obtain peace in the outer world. So first devil, first demon are the internals. We need to pacify them, we need to control over them. Only then we can bring the peace in external world. Okay. Now, moving on, and let's take first article. So guys, the first article that we are going to take is, should an all India judicial service be created? Should an all India judicial service be created? Fine, we have this article and we are going to see this article for GS paper number 2, judicial reforms. GS paper number 2, judicial reforms. Judicial reforms. Okay. Now, basically, guys, first of all, let me give you the context of this particular article, and once we take the context, we are going to discuss this particular article in detail. Now, what has happened recently? President of India has given this particular suggestion, that in Indian judiciary, diversity is missing. In Indian judiciary, diversity is missing. As we talk about diversity in terms of caste is missing. Women's representation in judiciary has not been on par with the male. So therefore, a suggestion is being given that all India judicial service will help to bring diversity in judiciary. Okay. Now let's understand that what is this all India judicial service, and will it really be helping? Can it be a panacea? Yes or no? Okay, now first of all, guys, when we talk about the All India Judicial Service, Article 312 of the Constitution provides for All India Judicial Service. Now it will be a service as we have UPSC, Union Public Service Commission, which is making the appointment for all India services. Okay, so all India services officers are appointed, recruited by UPSC. Then those officers are deputed to states, and states will be using their services. In the same way, what will be done? There will be a union level, all India Judicial Service that will be created. And this will be a central recruitment system. It will be a centralized recruitment system for the judges. One particular thing you need to keep in mind, that judges at the level of district judges will be appointed through this All India Judicial Service, and it's provided under article number 312 of the Indian Constitution. As of now, appointments through AIJS are not made. As of now, they are not made. But multiple times there have been reports which have suggested that for district judiciary, appointment through AIJS should be started. For example, Law Commission report 1958, 1978, they have said that AIJS, All India Judicial Service, can solve the structural issues in the judiciaries. So this is something that is provided. Now guys, when we talk about the All India Judicial Service, fine, it can be created through the resolution passed by Rajya Sabha, which is supported by 2/3 of its members. By this, AIJS can be created. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that Article 312 subclause 2 specifically provides that AIJS cannot include any position inferior to of a district judge. Below district judiciary, appointments cannot be made by the AIJS. So this is some static information. Now, if AIJS is being proposed, a question might come in your mind that what is the existing arrangement? What is the existing system? So guys, when we talk about the existing system, lower judiciary's appointment are largely made by the state governments as well as the High Court concerned. And we have here two articles, Article 233 and Article 234 of the Constitution. And these two articles provides that right now the appointment of district judges will be made by the State Public Service Commission as well as the High Courts concerned. So basically for this particular thing, usually what is the process? A person has to have the practice of 7 years. Then they can appear for the examination, and post that particular examination, on the basis of an interview in which the panelist is consisted of the High Court judges, the appointments can be made. This is the present system. And Article 233 provides this particular thing. Article 233 provides this particular thing, that appointment at the position of district judges in any state shall be made by the governor of that particular state in consultation with the High Court, fine, which is exercising the jurisdiction in this particular state. Now we are proposing All India Judicial Service System. So it is being said that actually what we can do on the lines of UPSC, AIJS test can be conducted and people for district judiciary can be appointed, and talented individuals can be selected through this particular process. Now, will that be a panacea? Will that be a solution? So there are some challenges that will come. Now, first challenge, guys, that will come is that understand this particular thing. Let's see. When we talk about the cases that are being argued in district judiciary or in the lower level judiciary, these cases are often being argued in the regional languages. Often the documentation that is being done, that is done in the regional languages. Now understand this thing, that right now states are appointing the judges through the PCSJ exam, through the examinations. Fine, the state is appointing the judges, and as often what is happening, judges are coming from the same state, and therefore they have knowledge about the regional language, regional customs, all that law knowledge is there. But if we will change this process and through AIGS service, the officers will be appointed, judges will be appointed, there is a possibility that a person from Tamil Nadu is posted as a district judge in, let's say, Uttar Pradesh. And there is a possibility that a person from Tamil Nadu might not be able to understand all the local customs that are there, which are to be kept in mind while giving the judgment. That person might not, there might be a language barrier that might come. Often the language barrier can be reduced, but actually what is happening, even the documentation is in the regional language. Okay, so this is something that is going to come. And let's say Hindi, that is actually, when we talk about the Hindi, it's there are a large number of people who still know Hindi, but what about the people, let's say from South India, going to some northeastern state, and let's say if their specific language is to be learned, okay, and for which if earlier know-how is not there, that is going to be a very difficult process. So training will take a lot of time. Secondly, guys, it has been provided that, see, when we talk about the district lower judiciary, it is said that a lot of vacancies are there. Because of that, there is a judicial overlag that is going on, and it is being said that there are around judicial vacancies at the rate of 20 to 25%, okay, in the lower level judiciaries, and through AIGS we can fulfill these vacancies. But it is being said that even if we talk about the all India services, there also is 20 to 22% vacancy. So point is that already UPSC is conducting the examination for all India services, but still there are 20 to 22% vacancy. So if a centralized recruitment mechanism could have solved this problem, UPSC would have already solved this problem. So nothing much will happen in this particular capacity. Then after that, next issue that comes here is this, guys, is that, see this thing. Now, next article that comes here is that basically regarding prospects, we have seen that High Court, Supreme Court appointments have been made from the bar. Now understand this particular thing, guys, that a person who is looking for a thriving legal career, a person looks to be a High Court judge, a person looks to be a Supreme Court judge. Now, guys, we know this particular thing that, and it is a matter of fact that in the High Court as well as Supreme Court, majority of judges that have been appointed, they are appointed from advocates. They are appointed from advocates. So actually, there are very few examples of district judges who have made it to the Supreme Court as a judge. Majority of judges in Supreme Court were earlier practicing advocates. So the legal students, law students, often they prefer not to go to district judiciary. They prefer to become advocates so that later they can become the Supreme Court. So point is that talented youth who is aspirational might still not come in the judiciary because AIJS is there. They still might become advocate and look for a higher career opportunity in Supreme Court. So AIJS might not magically solve all the problems. It might not magically solve all the problems. So what is the need of our? Need of our is that basically we need to solve the problem of lack of infrastructure. That is a big problem. Understand this thing that often in judicial complex, many places even clean toilets are not there, which restrict women to join the judicial service. So if you want to bring the diversity, rather than bringing these things, work on basic infrastructure. Also understand this particular thing, the judges need to be supported, that they think that they are as much constitutional court as the High Court, Supreme Court, the Chief Justice of India's are. So this is about this article, and now let's move to next article. Analyzing the Post Office Bill 2023. Analyzing the Post Office Bill 2023. And this particular article, guys, we'll see with respect to GS paper number 2. Okay, one thing I would like to tell you that they have written one page article, but reading this article, I tell you one thing, that the quality of article is not very good. Why? Because 50% of article is filled by the statements given by the different political parties leaders, which is not needed. Okay. So recently what has happened, the parliament has passed Post Offices Bill 2023. Now this Post Office Bill 2023 will replace the Indian Post Office Act of 1898, which is a colonial law. Now in this particular bill, the government has provided that this particular bill will try to bring an effective functioning of the postal department. Okay, postal department gives a lot of services. It is a carrier. It is providing the services of a postal carrier. Also, a lot of banking facilities are being provided by the post office, where they facilitate opening of the accounts, facilitating savings, etc. So to enhance their functionalities, this Post Office Bill 2023 has been brought. Now, guys, the majority of the provisions of this particular bill, they particularly relate to the structure and other nitty-gritties. But one particular provision of this particular bill has become quite controversial, and that has a certain implication with respect to our fundamental right to privacy. Now, when we talk about right to privacy, first of all, understand this particular thing. Supreme Court in Puttaswamy case recognized that privacy is a fundamental right under Article number 21. Okay. Now, what is the controversial provision? So basically, this Post Office Bill 2023, it allows the interception of articles transmitted via post. Okay, so for example, I sent a letter, I sent a package through the speed post or post office. Government officials can intercept that, they can open that, they can read that particular letter on the grounds such as security of state, friendly relations with a foreign state, public order, emergency, public safety, contravention to the provisions of this bill, or if it is in contravention to other law also. So your letter, your packages can be opened up, they can be intercepted. Now it is being criticized that actually it violates the fundamental right to privacy. It violates the fundamental right to privacy, which was recognized by Supreme Court in the Puttaswamy case. Also, it is being provided that there is no grievance redressal mechanism also. Suppose you sent a package and that package was opened up, and actually your package did not pose any threat to the safety, security, integrity of India. You want to complain. There is no grievance redressal mechanism for citizens. Are you getting it or not? There is no clause in the legislation asking the government to inform the citizens about that action, that why happened, what they did, what was the suspect. No such thing is there. So therefore, it has been provided that it violates the due process of law. Now, guys, understand this particular thing. Now, this particular dimension is very important. You know that fundamental rights are never absolute. Fundamental rights are qualified. They can be restricted. The same goes for the right to privacy also. Now, when Puttaswamy judgment came in 2017, this Puttaswamy judgment, when it came in 2017, and when it recognized the right to privacy as a fundamental right, it also recognized the grounds. It also recognized the grounds on whose basis this particular fundamental right could be restricted. Let's see grounds that were given by the judgment. Okay. So what are these grounds? Right to privacy could be restricted, but it can be restricted through legality. Means the if right to privacy is being restricted, it has to be restricted through the law made by parliament or state legislature. One condition. Second condition, legitimate goal. If privacy is being restricted, it should be restricted to serve some legitimate purpose, legitimate goal. Third, suitability. Suitability. The measure takes meaningful steps towards achieving the proper purpose. Okay, it should be done in a right manner. It should be done in a suitable process. Next, next, necessity. Necessity. Okay, so point is that the measure is the least rights restrictive measure amongst equally effective alternatives. Now understand this thing. Basically, this should be the, now understand this particular thing, guys. If somebody's privacy is being restricted, then it should be restricted as a matter of last resort, when other alternative is not there, and this is the only alternative, that by restricting the privacy some good can be brought, then only the privacy should be restricted. Necessity, the measure is the least right restrictive measure amongst equal effective alternative. Fine, this is the best possible alternative that is there. Proportionality. Okay, proportionality. Fine. See, you are restricting the privacy, but by restricting the privacy, the benefit will come. Should be greater than that or should be equal to that. Okay. Procedural safeguard should be there. So these are certain things that are to be kept in mind while the privacy is being restricted, and government is justifying that actually you provided that by law we can restrict privacy and we are bringing it by the law. But activist opposition members, they are not satisfied with this particular justification that has been given. Now, moving to next article. Okay, we have this article, don't use derogatory terms for person with disabilities election commission. Okay. Now, this particular article will see with respect to GS paper number 2, electoral reforms. Now, understand this particular thing, guys. That actually what has happened in the past, people or politicians, while making election speeches, often had made derogatory terms. For example, they use these particular words: Goonga, dumb, Goonga, deaf, behera, lame, langda. So, for example, Goongo ki sarkar. Okay, the government by the dumb people. Okay, or a particular minister or a particular leader, MP, MLA is being called as deaf. Fine. So basically it is being said that such kind of terms are derogatory to disabled people. Okay, such kind of terms are derogatory to disabled people. So therefore, Election Commission has provided that politicians, while making the speeches, political parties while carrying their campaigns, etc., or while they are distributing any election related material, they should keep in mind that they are not using these words such as gunga, behera, deaf, dumb, lame. All such words are not being used. Election Commission has provided this particular thing, that the very foundation of democracy lies in the representation of all communities, and in these representation of all communities, even the people who are disabled needs to be given the due regard. They should not be singled out, or derogatory terms should not be used. So therefore it has been provided that any such language where you're referring a person as a deaf, dumb, etc., such terminology, it insults the people with a disability, and such thing is offense under section 92 of the Right of Person with Disabilities Act 2016. Also, Election Commission of India has issued guidelines that the political parties need to include more person with disabilities at the different level, so that they can review, they can study the materials that are being published, and they can ensure that these materials are not derogatory to disabled people. Also guys, India has ratified the Convention on Right of Person with Disabilities, and such a guideline will help India to further adhere to the Convention on Rights of Person with Disabilities. Okay, so this is about it. Now guys, you can use these particular things as a reference, that how even now, see, when we talk about GS paper number 2 social justice, in GS paper number 2 social justice, we have a particular, in the social justice vulnerable section of society, disabled people are there. And often when we talk about the social justice for disabled people, we also need to ensure that the remarks that are being made against them, even in the political processes, should not be derogatory. So in that direction, this particular direction is helpful. Moving on, the next article that we have here is this: rating firms biases raise developing nations funding cost. Chief election, chief economic advisor. Chief economic advisor. So let's understand this particular issue. Basically, guys, we have a lot of credit rating agencies. We have a lot of credit rating agencies. For example, Fitch, Moody's, Standard and Poor. Now, these particular credit rating agencies give a rating to the different countries. Now, what is this particular rating? For example, if a country has a triple A rating, means giving money to a country is safe. Country is willing to pay, and country has avenues, means to pay. Now understand this particular thing, guys. Suppose I have some excess money and I need to lend this particular money so that I can earn interest. I have two options. Option number one, a person who is not very credit worthy, and option B, a person who is a well established reputed businessman or a very credit worthy person. Fine, he has a stellar reputation in the market. Now I need to lend my money. If I will lend the money to this person who has a very good reputation or have a very good credit worthiness, obviously he will not pay me very high interest rate. But other person whose credit worthiness is doubtable, that person will take money and might give me very high interest rate. Are you getting it or not? Now understand this thing, that what happen, credit rating agencies give rating to every country also, that how willing a country is to pay back. And on that particular rating that these credit rating agencies give to a country, it will determine the borrowing cost of that country. If a country gets a good credit rating, means at low interest rate, it can borrow money. If a country has got bad credit rating, means then that country, if they have to borrow money, they have to give high interest rates. Now it has been provided by the chief economic advisor that often these credit rating agencies, they are giving ratings which are very arbitrary, which are based on perception. Often quantitative numbers, objective parameters are not used by them. And they say that often what they happen, they don't also change these credit ratings with the changing dynamics. Now, if I give you example, guys, understand this particular thing. India's rating is triple B minus. India's rating is triple B minus, and this rating has not been changed in last 15 years. So basically, if you see that India has climbed from 12th largest economy in 2008 to 5th largest economy in 2023. India's dynamics, India's economic condition is has clearly been improved, but India's credit rating has stayed here. At the same time, the developed countries, high rated countries whose credit ratings are high, advanced economies, even their fundamentals are going down, they are deteriorating, their ratings are not being brought down, their ratings are the same. So point is that these credit rating agencies, they have biases. Often the process of these credit rating agencies, they are non-transparent, they are perception based. So therefore often they increase the borrowing cost for the developing countries such as India. Okay, borrowing becomes expensive, and often sometimes India is not able to attract the long term investment because of the poor ratings that have been given to them. So these credit rating agencies need to be more objective, transparent, and they need to adopt a clear parameters. Fine. So that is about it. And now moving to, okay, fine. Okay, so this is the next article. Sorry, here the heading has been replicated as by mistake as the different one. Missing for 42 years, Nam Dafa flying squirrel resurfaces in Arunachal Pradesh. Okay, so guys, here if you see this particular picture, here we have Nam Dafa flying squirrel. And when we talk about the status of Nam Dafa flying squirrel, now this is a very interesting article. Listen very carefully. When we talk about the Nam Dafa flying squirrel, Nam Dafa flying squirrel has been given the status of critically endangered, and understand this particular thing that Nam Dafa flying squirrel, it has been found or it has been seen only once in the Arunachal Pradesh in 1981. Now listen very, it is a very interesting development. So Nam Dafa flying squirrel, the word Nam Dafa comes from, the word Nam Dafa comes from the Nam Dafa Tiger Reserve. This Nam Dafa Tiger Reserve is in the Changlang district of Arunachal Pradesh. So in 1981, a flying squirrel was witnessed in the Nam Dafa Tiger Reserve. And from there, this squirrel was given the name of the Nam Dafa flying squirrel. Only once in 1981 it was seen. After that, it was not seen. So basically, zoologists, okay, researchers, they started doubting that whether that Nam Dafa flying squirrel was actually was a Nam Dafa flying squirrel, or by mistake we have seen some other squirrel, for example, red giant flying squirrel. So it was being speculated that whether a creature by the name of Nam Dafa flying squirrel exists or not. One more thing, that this squirrel is found only into the Nam Dafa Tiger Reserve. Okay. Now guys, what has happened? The zoologist, a team of zoologists has again seen a Nam Dafa flying squirrel in April 2022, and now they are comparing the, and now they are studying the DNA of this particular squirrel. Okay. Now when we talk about the Nam Dafa flying squirrel, understand this particular thing that it is an arboreal mammal. What is the meaning of the arboreal mammal? Arboreal mammals or arboreal creatures are those who spend considerable time on trees only. Okay, so this Nam Dafa flying squirrels, from one tree to other tree, it makes huge jumps which often looks like a flying. So it has been seen only two times in the history, first 1981 and second in now 2022. And because no other squirrel has ever been seen, it is given the status of critically endangered. And researchers, they were postulating that actually in 1981 it might be a mistake, or it might have went extinct till that time, but now they have seen it again in 2022. So what is its status? Critically endangered. Where it is found? Nam Dafa Tiger Reserve in Arunachal Pradesh in Changlang district. Fine. And now we have the main practice question. There have been proposals to create All India Judicial Service. Do you think All India Judicial Service would solve the issues of judiciary? GS paper number 2, 10 marker question. Okay. So that is all guys about this particular session. And I hope that you have understood this particular, all that particular discussion. Guys, understand one particular thing, that some days the articles that are coming in the newspaper, fine, after reading and spending a lot of time, we find that they are unnecessary, redundant, or the information that is being contained is not serving the needs of UPSC. So I give that particular idea to you in the start of the newspaper discussion, that is an overview. So my request is that please see overview very carefully, because often what happen, Suppose you will read one article for 30 minutes and will find that it is not necessary. When I am telling you, you can save that particular time. So that is the utility of overview. So that is about it. And with this, we come to an end. Now we'll be meeting tomorrow. Till then, please take care of yourselves. And if you have liked the session, please hit the like button. Thank you so much.